So, welcome, Roxanne. Long time no see. How have you been?
Very long time.
Really long
Yeah,
time. Yeah,
I've been fine
yeah,
apart from pandemic and
yeah. Apart from
life.
this nightmare pandemic. The last. When was the last time you played live? Would it have been the? So the last video I saw was at the Moth Club.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that counts because that definitely was the last time I stood on a stage, but there wasn't
Right.
an audience. So that
Oh,
was that was already like that was last September.
right.
So I think there were about four people in the room,
Yeah.
maybe. So we recorded a live show at Moth Club and then streamed that out as like a pay-per-view, which
Ah, I
was really
see.
fun. It was,
Yeah.
it was a great thing to do, but yeah, no audience.
Yeah, I really liked the reverb and the kind of like the tuning up bit. I thought, oh, is this a new like dream pop direction? Is there going to be some like shoegaze going on?
Little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool, thank you.
that is nice. Um, so did you did you go on a mini tour in Germany
Yeah,
just before the pandemic closed everything?
exactly. So
Yeah,
that was really lucky in a way. It was just a tiny tour, like mostly living room shows and like little
yeah,
cafes. And I just felt this urge to do it. Like I hadn't done a tour like that for a
yeah,
while. And yeah, like I said, I'm just so glad I did because, yeah, right after everything closed down. So it was
yeah,
just really nice to have had that week's worth of from my like this kind of old school touring for me. Like it was just
mm,
me and an acoustic guitar and yeah, traveling on trains and stuff. So it was cool.
yeah. So a Vaughn's like for non-German speakers, a Wohnzimmer. Was it?
Wohnzimmer Tour.
Yeah, was it organised and with people like, okay, we're going to do a private show in the living room?
Yeah, which seems
Yeah,
so weird now, like in COVID times. Like, can you
yeah,
imagine? Let's cram a tiny living room and kleines Wohnzimmer full
yeah,
of like 40 people, and everyone's going to crowd around like finger food and yeah, insane. But yes,
yeah.
that's exactly what we did.
That strangely reminded me of reading and hearing about like Pete Doherty going and doing, and I thought Roxanne Roll, the German Pete Doherty in Ronzimmer's creating havoc.
There is a link there, a
Yeah.
tangible one to be sure. But Pete Doherty and I have both worked with Bernard Butler, so
Oh
so
yeah, of
yeah.
course. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what was that like working with Bernard Butler? Was it quite intimidating at first? I'd imagine because he's such a like axe. He's a he's an axe legend that, it
Yeah,
might
the
be a bit
only the
scary.
only thing that was a little bit intimidating was like playing guitar in front of
Hmm.
him. But he no, it was amazing working with him. I could yeah, talk about that for a long time.
Does he have his own studio or does he use one?
We recorded the album at his house. So
Ah,
he's got
cool.
like his home
Yeah, yeah.
studio.
He's got his home studio. Yeah,
Yeah. So loads of guitars, as
yeah,
you can imagine.
yeah,
Just really relaxed. It's just nice.
yeah. How is it sort of like, so when I imagine like really professional studios, I always imagine like a big Persian rug on the floor, like lots of decorations everywhere. How was it sort of laid out?
Um well, I won't like describe his house to you,
No.
but it was just I mean that's the good thing about these days, I guess all you really need
Mm,
is a laptop, some software and some instruments and a
yeah,
good microphone.
and a good
So,
mic, yeah, which I don't have. I'm
well,
super unprofessional. I just do headphones, speak into the computer.
it works, whatever
Yeah.
works. Um, so he's got a nice like so there's a piano downstairs
Mm,
and like amps and guitars, and then there's a little control room. You know what? I think he's changed it up now. But yeah,
right.
there was a little control room upstairs.
Yeah.
And we did all sorts. Like we recorded backing vocals in the hallway, so just
Oh,
wherever
cool.
sort of more reverby and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That and that makes
Well,
those.
Bernard's quite a big fan, so maybe
Is he? Oh,
maybe there's a
cool.
connection there.
Yeah, yeah. Um, did you see the film 24
I
hour
did.
party people? Yeah,
Yeah, ages ago now, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I need to rewatch that. That's really funny. Thinking also of mad producers, because you're in North London. Do you ever go to Holloway? Have you ever seen the Joe Meek house?
Yes. Well, actually, I haven't, but I rewatched that movie about him. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
seen that, Telstar.
Telstar. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I rewatched that actually just a couple of weeks ago.
yeah,
I love it. I mean, it's such a sad story.
yeah,
But
yeah. Turns
so
into a
yeah, Joe
real.
Meek recording in toilets and
Yeah.
hallways as well.
So week on Boogaloo
Yeah,
Radio.
yeah,
Yeah, that.
super fun.
Yeah, I never went to that pub. Like, I wish I'd gone. Well, I can go, hopefully one day, but it's another place which is full of myth and mystery. So
Totally.
what's the is it a shed at the bottom of the beer garden? Is that where you record from?
Well, no, I record from home. So
Ah, cool.
I started hosting that show January 18th or 19th. So
Yeah,
again, still a pandemic.
yeah,
Everyone's recording from home. But technically, yes. So the Boogaloo radio station is just in a little shed in the
yeah,
back of the Boogaloo pub. But there's something really special about that. It feels like sort of pirate radio days,
yeah,
and there's so much freedom, and everyone's so lovely. Like it feels like it feels like a really nice sort of Boogaloo family.
yeah. Yeah, listening in as well. It's nice that the selection or the playlist and the music, it nearly everything has some link to the sort of London rock scene, rock and roll, 60s, into 70s and 80s. I do, because when I listen to like Six Music, sometimes I'm like, mir, I can't remember any German. This is fair. You kind of like, it's another sort of indie playlist. This is a bit, I need something more, need some oldies as well as, new stuff as well.
Why, yeah, I love listening to Six Music, but it's just yeah, it's obviously really fun to have complete free reins. So they asked me to do a radio show, and the only rule, it wasn't even the only thing I was told was like try not to swear. Like that
Right,
was it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just really nice to be able to do and play whatever I want. It's really
yeah,
nice.
great. And what time is it on, the show?
Monday mornings,
Monday mornings,
but
motivation.
musician morning, so
Right, yeah.
10 a.m. to 12 a.m. So your time it would be
Okay,
like a
that's my,
leisurely
yeah, yeah,
11
that,
to
well, that's about when I get up. My Mondays and my Sundays, that's the one day when I don't have many
right.
classes. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be tuning in definitely. So, what's the name of the new record?
I can't possibly tell you that yet.
Oh, it's
Well, it
not
depends.
even. It
Well, it
hasn't got
depends
a
when this is
title
going
yet.
out.
Okay,
It does,
right, yeah.
it definitely does have a title. I just don't know
Okay.
if I can quite share
Ah,
it yet.
well, given my rubbish editing skills and the fact that my housemate was in the background being a bit noisy, it would take me a while to like chop it all together. I think at least a week. I think, but
Yeah, in that case, I might still have to keep it secret.
okay,
So
keep it
actually,
under
there was
wraps.
just a bit of mayhem this morning because I thought I'd had a date where we were going to announce it, and that's just been pushed back slightly
Oh
again.
yeah,
So for
continual.
now, yeah, it will have
Yeah.
to be a bit of a mystery.
Um, how would you, if you could describe the new record in a few adjectives, and you can use German? Maybe you can introduce the watchers. What do you call them? The audience, to some German vocabulary as well.
Okay, wow. Um,
Let me see if I can remember some. Yeah, I can only remember bad German and English words like "ja, sehr chillig." This is
sehr
chillig,
chillig.
which is horrible.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
No.
Okay, so I would say let's start with an easy one from a language point of view. I would
Okay.
say emotional.
Emotional. Yeah.
Ja.
Yeah.
Aber hoffnungsvoll.
Hoffnung, full of hope. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
it's
sorry, I'm just wrestling.
it turned out to be quite joyous, and that's partly because by accident I kind of just wrote a couple of four chord pop songs.
Yeah.
So with especially with sort of a bit of Bernard guitar magic on it, it's just some of them sound really joyous,
Yeah.
which makes a nice change, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you've had a really tough year, obviously, with the loss of your father. Did you find that recording was a real cathartic process and that it was a nice release?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the best gift I could have asked for.
Yeah.
So my dad was still with us when I was recording it.
Oh,
At least, well, yeah, I finished the album after, but
yeah.
for most of it, he was still here. And
Yeah.
my dad is above anyone. My dad is like my music mentor. So I'm very grateful for the fact that I could still share all of that with him. So he heard pretty much the finished album.
Oh, yeah.
But having those, so to answer your question, like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was just the days when I could make music and, yeah, have an outlet to express all that mixed, super feelings.
Yeah.
It was just a real gift. It was, yeah, I'm so grateful. It like
Yeah.
sometimes, life is so weird. It just has a way of making sense.
Yeah. Kind
Yeah,
of like in
things just
a
work out.
sort of in a loop.
Yeah.
Was your dad a huge drive in your life? So he was really encouraging.
Yeah, the biggest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, best friend, music mentor. Having
Yeah.
said that, he was always so he taught me, as in I'm not a classically trained musician at all.
Yeah.
So the chords I know on the guitar, my dad
Yeah.
showed me how to play them, and
Ah.
then we would always sing together and make music together. And if I wrote songs, he'd always be the first person to hear them.
Yeah.
So it's a huge adjustment, and for me, like a huge sort of growing up curve, and it's gonna take a long time.
Yeah. Where would be somewhere that you would really like to play? Have you got any sort of favourite venues you want to put on? Well, do some
Oh, the
shows
list
at.
is the list is very long.
Yeah.
So the question is how realistic my wish
Yeah.
list is. So Royal Albert Hall would be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Start off with just a small warm-up gig. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you know what? I just cannot wait to play. I'm not that optimistic. Like I don't think
No.
June 21st will be. I mean, it's. I'm so glad that at least the vaccine rollout in this country. I'm not sure actually what it's like where you are, but at least in this country, the vaccine rollout has been going well. So I'm confident that life can at least go back to some kind of normality. But for the music industry, I do think it will take a while to
Yeah.
recover.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to play in front of people again. And that's
Yeah.
definitely going to happen this year. But yeah.
I think we're going to see, I hope, a lot of venues opening up their beer gardens. So we're going to see a way that venues will be able to present, more intimate more intimate gigs with maybe 60 to 100 people. And I just hope that some of the funding that some small venues have been able to get is going to be enough for them to develop and to open up their spaces. Because that
Yeah.
would, I don't know if you saw that for the Help for Venues movement, and there was a big drive.
Yeah, so last year I went on a sort of virtual UK tour, and they were all free shows, but I asked for donations. And some of the gigs, so each night I team up with an independent promoter or venue and basically perform like from this corner, but on their social media pages.
Yeah,
So some of them were also for that campaign, the Save Our Venues campaign.
Yeah.
My this is a bit of an aside, but my only personal frustration with that and the funding that venues are receiving, it just seems silly to me that most of it is to cover rent that's going to private landlords.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
know. Yeah.
so
It's
instead of
ridiculous.
giving some kind of rent holiday,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's a bit frustrating. And I'm just yeah, it's been such a tough time for venues and, well, for everyone in the industry, but particularly small venues and the staff, sound
Yeah.
engineers, lighting engineers. So I really, really hope that they will have survived and that we can keep supporting each other. I think the music industry has sort of come together a bit more over this, so that would be very nice if that would continue, that
Yeah.
we keep supporting each other.
Yeah. It's just really sickening when you think also as well, like a company like Amazon that have made profits, huge profits off of this, and that I don't know. I
I
just
mean,
think,
Jeff Bezos could definitely save every
yeah,
small venue if he
yeah.
wanted to.
Just
Yeah.
think, some of the larger companies have a debt. They have a debt to society and a debt to our creative industries to funnel some money in. Obviously, no one like Jeff Bezos is going to see this. You bald
Do we know
prick.
what kind of music he's into?
I don't.
What do you think he listens to?
I reckon he's like into Wagner. It's like a proper typical, sociopath.
Hashtag not all Wagner fans.
No, sorry, Wagner fans.
That's fine.
Yeah, so on the last tour in Germany, so I was reading on the website Tales from the Rail. Did you kind of have Heimweh? Did you feel a kind of like Did you feel any sort of homesickness when you were touring, or do you ever feel? So this is a second question. Do
Yep.
you ever have a feeling of Heimweh for for
For
Germany,
Deutschland,
for Berlin? Yeah.
Heimweh is a beautiful word, isn't it? Well, my challenge with that question, firstly, if you just ask in general, do you have Heimweh, is where is home? Like,
Yeah.
what is home?
Yeah.
'Cause
I
for
have
me,
that.
that's always like several. Yeah, I'm sure you can relate to that too,
Yeah.
having moved and having family in different places. So I I moved from Berlin to the UK right after school. So I've kind of lived, I feel like I've lived my whole like adult life so far in this country.
Yeah.
So by now, this is definitely home.
Yeah.
London is a home. Liverpool is a home because
Yeah.
I lived there for a bit and I just really love it.
Yeah.
Berlin is a home. I mostly, yeah, of course, I miss my immediate family in Berlin.
Yeah.
So I have Heimweh for them. And there are things about Berlin that I really miss, but there are also things that I don't miss so much. So
Yeah. Like
every
what? Currywurst?
no, I definitely miss currywurst.
Oh.
You know what? After 10 years of being British,
Yeah.
I really struggle with what they call the Berliner Schnauzer, which
Yeah.
literally translated means the Berliner snout.
Yeah.
So, like, people are just really rude in a
Yeah.
apparently charming way.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that anymore. Like in
No.
Berlin, you get like grannies shouting at you for like standing about on the street or walking too slowly or being in their way. Like
Yeah.
everyone's just
I I think that's something that could be said about Vienna as well. Like the rudeness factor. I don't know
right.
which is ruder, but the Wiener Schmarm. I can't remember the word, but it was like no, the grantig,
Grantig. Ah, okay.
grantig like moodiness that
Yeah.
people have in Vienna is ridiculous. Like on the metro, people will just push you out of the way if you're like dawdling. You'll just get a
Yeah.
bump or oh, something really weird was going to the sauna and
You
going
could
to
have just ended the sentence there, but okay, go on.
No, but a particular really weird thing was going to the sauna, and well, in Germany and Austria, it's completely nude as well. But then the Aufguss. Have you ever heard of Aufguss?
Do you think that's one of the most German words? Aufguss? Maybe.
No. It's
Is
just
it
for
not?
me. It's imprinted on my memory because it was in the sauna and it was really hot, and then suddenly all these sauna maniacs came into the cabin. This guy said, "Of course," closed the door, and I was in there with my ex. We were already sweating bullets, and then they slammed the door shut, and this big guy started turning like
Whipping the towel.
whipping the towel around, and we were like, "Whoa!" Suddenly, it just got really hot, and me and my
Yeah, I thought I was
ex, we
going to
said,
pass out when
we must gehen," and we ran out, and all the people said, "Hey, was ist los? Was ist mit du? Arschloch!" We broke the Aufguss, and it's
Oh,
horrifying,
mate, you can't
terrifying.
break the Aufguss.
No, we were wimps though. We couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it's intense.
Mm,
So after 10 years of being in England, I take like the superficial friendliness of England
mm.
over having someone
Over
just
the
shout at me and
yeah,
like be arsey for the sake of it any day. So I
yeah,
don't miss
definitely.
that.
No,
But I do miss just the Berlin's so free.
yeah,
It was such a great place to grow up because it's so, Britain is so regimented.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
Berlin's
I don't know what it's like in Vienna, but in Germany as a whole, and particularly in Berlin, you do feel part of society, as
mm,
in you understand that as a citizen you have rights and you
mm,
also have responsibilities.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I feel, so this is becoming like a bit of a wider political point, but I feel like in Britain, so many people feel so removed and
yeah.
and rightly so from politics that they don't see themselves as
As part.
part of society and therefore they
Mm.
don't feel they have the same responsibilities either.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I think definitely with Vienna because it had a long socialist
mm,
legacy, and with social housing as well. It was their attitude was that it's a lot more like you don't leave people behind, you don't let people fall into the cracks. I mean, obviously there's a big uh, far right problem there as well, but in general, Vienna Vienna's social welfare system was really good, and it was you could you could find apartments, you could find if you were a young family, you'd be given priority, but you'd be able to buy have this scheme where it's I can't remember what it's called. It's kind of like you put down a big deposit and you're still renting, but it's part ownership basically.
mm,
And a friend of mine, he did that, and it was a real like he loves living there now. But yeah, I think because in London we've got only recently the tenancy uh, laws were changed, weren't they? So to stop, evil scumbag land barons, taking deposits. And I would just remember in my time in living in London that it was a nightmare,
mm.
total
Yeah, it
nightmare.
is. I mean,
Yeah,
it still is. It's so,
it
I mean,
is. Yeah.
I love it here, but it's so hard and expensive and
Mm.
yeah. So,
Yeah, there's a line in one of your songs, typical landlord walls. And like
yeah,
that really
landlord
rung
shade of white.
shade of white. Yeah. That
Because it's
kind of,
just, as a Berliner, it's weird that you
yeah.
need to ask for permission to like paint a wall or hang up a painting.
Yeah,
You know,
no. Yeah.
um, even the language, like landlord, it's so archaic, really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Land baron. And also something about Germany and Austria as well, that there isn't the culture of the Merkler, the agent or the person that is a professional doer upper, like renting loads
Mm.
of properties and just making a massive profit.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
I've got
exactly.
bad reception just then.
That is a problem in this
Yeah,
country.
definitely. There should be. I
I
don't
don't know.
know if the law or how it works. I think in Austria you can't have more than two properties without being a limited company. So you have to pay, you have to
That makes
do
sense.
everything above, properly and pay your correct taxes and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, ultimately, homes should be homes, right? Like a
yeah,
house shouldn't really be an investment before it's a home. So it's just a bit weird that we've got people who are homeless or struggling to keep a roof over their head, and others who, yeah, just are serial house buyers just
yeah.
to turn a quick profit. It's
To
just,
do
yeah.
it, yeah, they just get in I mean, I don't know if you ever saw it, but on Vice there was the London's worst property of the
Yeah,
the
I
week. There
did.
was that article. It's horrible.
Like a shed. And,
Yeah.
well,
Oh,
I've
the
had
shed.
so
The
many.
shed was in Dublin, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had so many terrible homes in London. The one I'm in now, this is my first home that feels like a home. You
Yeah.
know, and it's taken 10 years to get there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've had all sorts. Eight,
Yeah.
nine flatmates,
Yeah.
mice, mold,
Mice mold, moldy mice,
moldy mice.
moldy mice coming in,
Yeah,
having late night parties.
yeah, all
Yeah.
that, all the usual stuff.
Yeah. What was your? Did you live in? Because the first time we met was in Shepherd's Bush on the Central Line, was it? Was
Yeah,
you were living in
brilliant
Central?
story.
Yeah,
I was living in Shepherd's Bush.
yeah. I have
So,
really happy memories of living around there.
yeah, I really like that area.
It was great. Do you remember? Did you ever go to Bush Hall?
Yes, I
Yeah,
love that place. It's one of those places that you wouldn't think exists just
I
walking
know.
past it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And there's I think either the Who used to practice there or that they would play early gigs there as well. I think, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's an
they're
amazing
definitely.
venue.
So I lived in White City Estate for a while as well, so just by Shepherd's Bush.
Yeah,
And Pete Townsend has an album, albeit not his greatest, but he's got this album called White City.
yeah,
And I bought it on vinyl from Rough Trade in Notting Hill
yeah.
because he's literally standing outside where my flat was. So I was
No
like, oh, this is
way.
amazing. I need to
Cool.
have this.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm quite a big fan of The Who.
yeah, definitely.
Are we going to
Yeah,
talk about how we met? Because it is a great story.
yeah. So, I remember that you were either getting some hassle or like there was as is always the case in Shepherd's Bush. There's either a bloody South African or a bloody Aussie. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, I don't, don't remember his national. I mean, he might have been Australian, but he was drunk. That's what I remember.
Yeah,
There was a
yeah,
very drunk person on our tube carriage, and he
yeah,
did that annoying thing that they often do of just thinking that they're being funny and entertaining when really they're like just being nuisance. But he was
yeah.
going round. It worked out very well in this instance because he like went round and asked everyone who they are and what they do. Like he was just making it his
Oh
show.
my god,
But he
yeah,
walked
yeah.
around and I don't remember who was first out of the two of us, but you sort of sat opposite me and he's like, "Oh mate, what do you do?" And you were like, "Oh, I put on gigs." And then when he got round to me, I was like, "Oh, I'm a singer-songwriter." And he freaked out. He was like, "Guys, you're a promoter, you're an artist, like you should talk to each other."
Yeah, that was
And then we did. And
yeah.
then I pestered you for a gig for a long time.
No, you didn't pester me. No, no, it was the other way
That's what it
around.
felt like to me.
I was like, can you come and play? Um, and I felt bad because a couple of times I couldn't. I think part of Essex, I'm not sure which, but he is going to start doing gigs again. So maybe we can have a
Cool.
reunion.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fun. I mean, for me at that time, I like getting a gig at the Barfly felt like, oh my God, I've made it. It was like I really, really wanted to play at the Barfly. And this was at that time, it was still like really unusual Like, I think the reason why I had to like twist your arm a little bit for you to book me for the Barfly was because I was like a solo artist with an acoustic guitar.
Yeah, the
And you
thing
often
is,
put me on like between indie bands and
yeah,
stuff.
the thing is, my nights were pretty mental. There was never ever like a theme. Like sometimes we'd have a goth industrial band, and then Roxanne, and then there'd be like some Camden sort of oiks in winkle pickers, sort of Pete Doherty-ites. Yeah, it was always a little bit like, oh, will this work? I don't know. And then most of the time it would work. But some
Yeah, it's
nights would
fun.
be like, oh no, what have I done? and I'd get a real pasting from the guy that I worked for
Right.
on Monday, like, what the fuck were you thinking? Look at this. But it was always difficult because there's a balance between some there's a balance between like, well, an artist has got to bring a certain amount of people, and it was always a fight with the guy that I was working with, like, well, if we book quality, and not,
Mm.
just make sure the artist gets paid a good rate, then you build up a better reputation as a promoter, and then artists start coming to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is a big thing in London, as you know. Like some venues were like, really, really tight, or some promoters were really tight, and some were very good, and just, yeah, it's hard. I know it's hard to be a gigging artist. You're like, what the fuck? I need at least 20 quid for the taxi. Come on. I have heard some.
I,
Did you ever hear any horror stories about pay to play, or did you
oh,
ever
I've
come
I've
across?
experienced them.
Yeah,
Yeah, awful things like so. For the record,
yeah.
I
If you want to
never. I
name and shame.
remember, but those, but the gigs with you were nice because firstly, I just really, really wanted to play on like indie nights and more clubs rather than
Mm,
sort of
yeah,
sit down eat things at the time. So I really appreciated that like opportunity, and also I don't ever remember feeling like hassle to bring a certain amount of people there or anything. It was quite a sort of nice vibe those nights. As you said, like they could be like a little bit hit and miss in terms of like,
mm,
like vibe and how many people did show up, but it was
yeah, yeah,
always there was also like solidarity between the acts that you booked always, which was kind of nice. I think
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was just a
I
good
always had to like make sure, like, okay, so one of you's got to have, the drum kit. We expect you to
yeah
share the back line. Don't
yeah
want any sort of egos, like, oh, we can't use my tom toms. We can't, it's all got to be like, and
yeah
we want you to watch the other bands and like
yeah. I made some
swap
good music
numbers.
mates
Yeah,
around that time at those gigs, so that was nice. And as you said, that's what kind of makes a good promoter, isn't it? Because it's so important to have an ethos and then a shared ethos. So I have got really good memories of those nights. But the pay to play things were more that I experienced were more like, those really crappy deals when as an artist you just don't know any better and they
yeah,
say, well, you need to bring X amount of people. And after you've brought 20 customers in who each pay a
mm,
fiver,
yeah,
after all of that, we'll start paying you £1 per person that you
yeah,
bring and that
yeah,
kind of.
yeah,
And yeah, I really regret doing some of those, but you just no one tells you not to. Like no
mm,
one tells you that that's not. And it's so easy to exploit artists as well because we don't get into this from a business point of view, right? We don't
mm,
get into making music because we want to earn a living. We
yeah,
do it because we've got something to say and we've got this need to do that.
yeah. I think one of the one of the venues that I really loved and really had that, I can't remember. There was one company that used to book the Lock Tavern and Defectors World and Keston Lodge, and it's kind of like a chain. I think it was called 586, and so they were so good for promoters because they would say, okay, you get 100 and you can make sure everyone gets 20, 30, and
Hmm.
there's a shitload of beer as well. Massive ride, like in terms of small venues, like a really big rider. So it was always just like mental. Um, and always good fun. And also the fact that they did a lot of in-house promotion as well, and it was a cool. Yeah, I've got really fond memories of like Camden at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I played the Lock Tavern with you once as well.
Yeah,
That was a really good night. I'd forgotten about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I loved
Good
that.
times.
Yeah, good times. I didn't really. I kind of wish that I'd done more stuff in the East as well before, sort of, because like around sort of 2008, 2009, Shoreditch was already like sort of totaled. It was already becoming too gentrified, or there was just too many like fucking mental people from Essex coming in. I
That's
remember.
why I like Shepherd's Bush, because Shepherd's Bush had its heyday in like the
Yeah,
60s and
yeah,
70s, and now it's just so unpretentious.
yeah.
It's multicultural and it is what it is. It's just Shepherd's Bush, and yeah, I really like it for that reason.
Yeah, I just remember, like, because jobbing as a DJ as well, it was nice to play around that area as well, because you'd get people coming up to you and asking or talking about music. Whereas in, say, like Hoxton on the weekend, you would get bankers or like office workers going, just putting their phone at you, going, plug this in. When's it going to get good? When are you gonna play something we can dance to? But the
They sound
best
delightful.
they were, but I would enjoy talking to people like that sometimes, because you could sort of win them round. But one night I was paid a tenner. Someone said, "Here's a tenner. Play Salt and Pepper, Push It," and I was like, "Yes, thank you.
Win-win.
Yeah, why not? Okay, great, done deal. Tell your friends. Okay, starting." Starting for a £5 a track. I am your jukebox. We can do this all night. Yeah, so let's go back to when you lived in. When did you live in Liverpool?
Well, I sometimes joke in a kind of lame way and say I actually lived in coach A of the Virgin Express, because I was like toing and
Yeah,
froing between Liverpool and London so much.
yeah,
But it must have been about 2015 and 16. I originally went up to Liverpool as a tourist with my dad, actually,
yeah.
because he'd never been either. And me, like, me being a huge Beatles fan, we just went for a sort of mini weekend holiday, and I just really fell in love with the people
Yeah,
as well as the place.
yeah,
That, like, it's just the sense of humor and the self-deprecating nature, and there was so much talent and so much music on this tiny patch of land. I was just really fascinated by it.
yeah. Is there a sort of ballpark time? Do you know roughly when it'll be
Yes,
out?
this year.
Yeah, this
So
year.
ballpark time.
Nice. Well, that's good.
No, I'm releasing a couple of singles ahead of the album release.
Yeah.
And the album, I don't think I'm saying too much if I'm saying that the plan is to release it. So subject to change, but the plan is for the album to come out in the late summer.
Cool. And so you've got a team now behind you, haven't you? Pushing Roxanne to
So
Bastion.
weird. It's very new. The fact
Yeah.
that it's not just me doing this. It's
Yeah.
so fun. It's really great. Yes, so I went into lockdown as a lone artist and came
Yeah.
out of lockdown with a manager and a booking agent. So,
Nice.
woo.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw, because the agency, I know they're a really good, decent agency as well. So that's
Cool.
really good.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the manager, it's funny because I've known him pretty much as like since from that time where we met as well. So
Yeah.
he was at one
Oh,
of my
cool.
first gigs in London.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
Yeah.
it just so for any artist watching this, it can take 10 years to
Yeah.
lock that down.
Whew. Can
But yeah,
take longer. I think
worth it.
that's really good about your career, is that you've been gigging, and you know the insides and outsides. and how to plot a tour, and how to to do it DIY, so you can see all of the sides, so you can work with your manager to make sure that.
And I do think it helps with the team then as well. Like, for instance, with the booking agent, I know how hard it is to get festival slots, to get support slots. So I think maybe you go into the working relationship with more sort of realistic expectations as well.
Yeah, you're not going in there green, you're not like wet behind
I'm
the
not
ears.
saying, why am I not headlining Glastonbury yet? Or something like that.
I was going to say Glastonbury. So,
yes.
I can definitely imagine us having a reunion at Glastonbury. But I don't know how I'm going to get a ticket. Because I had this fever dream the other day, because I had a chance to DJ at Glastonbury through the Locked Tavern, and I had this nightmare of thinking, why didn't I go? I can't remember. I had the chance to go and I didn't go and DJ. Ooh. And I was like, oh, forever. Rue the day.
Have you been though? Have you been to Glastonbury?
Yeah, we used to go from the age of about 16 up until the introduction of this mega fence. And then when they put in the mega fence, it was a lot harder to get in, obviously, because you had to buy a ticket and it was really expensive. And then when it became like, you had to have a really fast internet connection and be ready. This fucking
the
leg
cat is amazing. That looks like a cartoon cat. That does not look real.
He's always stealing the limelight. So and then the time when it became like this ritual where you would have to have really fast internet and have the money and time to go there. So I haven't been since 2007, I think, just because I haven't been organised enough to get my arse over there or to blag a ticket.
What year was the referendum?
I'm
like 10 years out, aren't I? Yeah.
So the referendum was 2016. Yeah.
That's when I was there.
Oh yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah. Must have been
a weird day.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day about that, about how when David Cameron announced that, and then do you remember the whistling when he said right, when he walked away from the podium?
Yeah, I remember all of that eerily well because of like the circumstance. So I was in a rented car on the way to Glastonbury, going like early morning, driving through these like picturesque British country fields, and like feeling like hit by a bus from the news, and it was weird.
So annoying because it's.
What's it like for you now in Vienna?
Well, so I've been in Spain for how long now? For about 3 years, with a couple of gaps in between. So I left Vienna in 2017. Went back to the UK.
So you're in Spain now?
Yes,
because I've been picturing you in Vienna all this time.
No. My German would have been a lot better. I would have tried.
Where in Spain are you?
So I'm in Malaga right now.
No way.
On the Costa del Sol.
Malaga so well.
Yeah.
I know it really well.
So I
spent a lot of time in a godforsaken place called Torremolinos.
I'm near there. Yeah, it's a hell hole. Hell hole with sun. No.
Yes, but I love it.
Yeah, it's really, as you know, it's really
That's where I first met British people.
Is it?
Do you know that? Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry for your loss.
But it was really interesting because then when I moved to England, it was like, oh, this is them in their natural habitat. Okay, this makes more sense now.
Without like 8 pints.
Karaoke.
Yeah. But
really nice to catch up as well. And, meet the cats.
Yeah, meet the feline friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. And sorry I didn't have much album scoop yet, but
no. Yeah. It's a taster.
Yes.
It's all part of the buzz.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
I'll be tuning in on Mondays on Boogaloo. And
Great.
yeah, speak to you really soon.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Ciao. Tschüss. Tschüss,
Tschüss.
Baba.
Bis bald.
Bis bald.